Welcome to In Focus. Statistics indicate that 1 in 5 people in Canada suffer from mental illness. That means all of us have been or will be impacted in some way by mental illness. It affects people of all ages, education, income levels, cultures, and religions. Joining me today is our special guest, Dr. Laura-Lynn, also a friend of mine, to discuss the stigma of mental illness affecting our society today. And I just want to say welcome to you.
Thank you.
I have such a profound respect for the gift that you have in psychology, for the work that you do. I've been the beneficiary of some dinner meetings where that was helpful. Thank you for that. This is quite serious. 1 in 5.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, well, and actually, for those of us who are over 40, including you and I,
dear.
50% of us have experienced some form of mental illness in our lifetime.
In our own lifetime.
Exactly, exactly.
So does that range from anywhere from having like a panic attack that would maybe occur once because something overwhelming happens?
Yeah, I mean, I would say anxiety and depression are probably the main mental illness that people suffer from. And it could be because of stress or life circumstances. But it's just a time where you're just not functioning at your very best.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that you interact with a lot of people that are experiencing some, trauma or going through something. And do you think that as a society, are we not coping as well as we used to? Or is the increase of the buzz and social media, the fast pace of life, is that affecting people?
Well, there's a lot of reasons why mental illness seems to be on the rise. I think part of it is awareness. If you think about generations ago, people just didn't talk about that. It was the ant that no one talked about,
Right.
But nowadays it's become, there's been more awareness. But I would say primarily society has changed in that there is a greater degree of family breakups. There's also been experiences of more trauma, more stress. I mean, all of these things can impact why people are suffering from more mental illness these days.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what do you see, what is the answer? There does become a stigma, as you were talking about. Is that also in the church? I know that you are profoundly working in churches these days, and that we experience that in the church as well. And that stigma where someone gets rejected. I mean, in the statistics, people lose jobs, people don't get hired. If any of this comes out, I even read where doctors, if they had a mental illness, they wouldn't tell anyone. They would diagnose themselves and deal with it very privately because there is this stigma attached.
Right, right. And the stigma, unfortunately, it's perpetuated by the media, where when you see people with mental illness, it's often they're doing something completely out of control. It seems like they're maybe dangerous, and all of that is actually not true. People with mental illness are much more likely to actually be victims of violent crimes than they're actually perpetuating it.
Right.
But in the church, there's this thinking that if you love the Lord, if you have faith, if you pray enough, you shouldn't suffer from mental illness. Maybe it's a doubt issue. Maybe it's because you're not thinking enough positive thoughts.
Right.
And so
you don't have enough faith.
Exactly, exactly. And so I would say, I think statistically, only half of the people who have mental illness issues actually seek out help. And that breaks my heart because there is help, there is hope, that when people actually seek out treatment, they get better.
Well, and what's amazing about your life is that you have tremendous faith, Dr. Laura-Lynn, and you also have tremendous education. And so you know that it actually is very, very beneficial to receive help from both your faith and from a medical resource.
Right, right. Well, I think science is actually biblical. So if you think about the way the body has been designed by God, our mind, it's based on truth. And God is truth, and science is based on truth as well. So it's a combination of complex issues, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I think that people can get help from all those levels so that there is freedom. And in fact, one of the things that is a heartache for me is that people aren't getting help. And as a result, they live a life of just trying to white knuckle it through life and just trying to get through. And there is no joy. They struggle with shame, and to me, that's something that's very, very sad.
And by help, you're saying go to somebody, talk about this, see if there are solutions medically and even spiritually that will help you. Don't be alone. Don't just bottle it up inside.
Right, exactly. And that's something that I would like to say to people is that if you're suffering from mental illness, please go and get help. There are so many solutions out there. There's some godly Christian therapists and pastors who understand how you feel and are able to walk with you. There's no need for you to feel like you're still in bondage and that you can't break free from that. That's something that's just such a passion for me.
Yes.
Part of the work that I do in a clinical setting, but also in the church setting, is to try to bring awareness that it's okay to normalize that many of us suffer from mental illness or struggles related to depression or anxiety.
Excellent advice, Dr. Mary-Lynn, and always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.